So keep going. Don't break the rhythm. Long term, however, you must not stop accelerating until the tire that has gained elasticity begins to turn at a constant speed of certainty. What do you mean by that?
Oh, just keep doing, keep doing. I think tenacity and consistency matters most for people to understand oneself as well as understanding the other people as well. So one of the questions that I got from your like before this interview was how do you judge people's truthfulness and how do you see the
Yeah.
real truth from the people's behind kind of those things. And the one thing that I coined upon myself was consistency. Consistency matters very most for people to judge whether it is true or not. And that made me to write down those kind of tweets and consistency. Why? It is really hard to do that. One of the hardest thing to do that. Why? People, when I was a university student, one of my colleagues and who was junior asked me, "Hey, you're learning so kind of those multiple languages, and which language do you recommend me to study from now on?" And I asked him, "Hey, which language you want to study? Maybe it could be English or Japanese or Chinese or whatever, Spanish or so. And what do you want to study?" And he told me, maybe it was back in roughly around 2005. So Chinese economy was growing rapidly. So that junior told me, "Hey, brother, so Chinese economy is growing these days. So if I learn Chinese from now on, maybe yeah, I could take some advantage of speaking and writing about the Chinese. Maybe I could do that now." Oh, and then I told him, "Oh, well, then start learning Chinese." But for me, just for your information, he stopped learning Chinese after a year of the study, after just taking the course. So yeah, his life of learning Chinese and listening to Chinese and his opportunities that has been not made to make friends with the Chinese in speaking Chinese has not been made because he was not consistent. He didn't sticking to his plan. So it has to be kind of like no matter what happens, no matter what the things are going on, you have to be consistent. When it comes to me, I started learning English because I could make maybe roughly around one third of the people living in this Earth planet are speaking English. So I just imagined myself making friends with one third of the population living in this planet, and yeah, that could be happening. And that passion, and that never stops because when I learn English, I could do that. And I decided to learn Chinese because there are 1.5 billion people living in China without someone who is not calculated on the statistics by the Chinese government. Yeah. So I thought like that. Okay, if I start learning Chinese, I could make friends of the 1.5 billion people. What will happen? What will happen? So I started listening to Chinese music. I started learning Chinese dances as well. And not only learning and speaking in Chinese, yeah, I was fully immersed myself to the Chinese culture context because the purpose of learning Chinese was to make friends with China and Japanese too. So when I was roughly around 20 years old, 21-year-old, I started learning Japanese because back at the time, there was a K-pop singer her name was Boa, now a former director of the SM Entertainment. And she was making amazing buzz in Japan. And she was like a K-pop idol in Japan, penetrating the first round of the like wave. And I was very fascinated by her movement and her like a series of actions and performances as well. So I went to Army. And while I was doing kind of like even I was holding a gun and when I was sleeping, I was always plugging into earphone. And on the disc play, I was listening to Boa's music, like those songs. And I started falling in love with the Japanese culture through the lens of experiences of a Boa. And then he was making boyfriend in Japan and Japanese boyfriend. And I was very kind of imagining myself, okay, after I discharge my military service, I would go to Japan and ask Boa for a dating or so.
Yeah.
That never happened. But that was my imagination and passion. So I kept, and even though Boa disappeared from my those kind of imaginations, my love of the like Japanese culture and Japanese like way of making sounds,
Yeah.
way of making communications together, just got captivated me. And after that has been on my heart, oh, I got to study Japanese over and over. Let's put it in my daily routine. Chinese too. Let's put it in my daily routine. English too. Routine. And then I study Japanese 10 minutes per day for the past more than 20 years.
Wow.
Just kept doing that. And I couldn't get an opportunity to do a business with Japanese people over the period of time. And I couldn't even get an opportunity to talk with the Japanese with a long form conversation. You know what? But after I started working for Tips, it was 5 years ago. And after I just kept my duties on here like 2 years, and people just made some like no buzzes. Hey, whenever you visit TipsTown, there is this guy called Doer, Youngil. He makes amazing presentation of introducing tips. So let's pay a visit there. So government officers, some kind of like a VIP delegations are just waving here, coming here. And many of them are coming from English-speaking countries. And one day, there was Japanese-speaking delegations, and Japanese delegations visited here, and they were requesting me to deliver a presentation in English. But I decided to deliver it in Japanese because I've accumulated my kind of that capability over the long period of time. So I bursted into Japanese presentation, and they was wow. They were like, wow. Not only presentation, just a single presentation can be memorized, and we can do that automatically. But taking the like a Q&A, question and answer thing, that is whole different level. But I carried on the Q&A in Japanese too. And after that, what happened? Those Japanese delegations introduced another round of group of Japanese business travelers to TipsTown over and over. And that's how I established some kind of like a very, very diamond-like relationship with Japanese people in startup arena these days. Consistency with a heart, that makes people different. Yeah.
And then because you kind of glance over, you did this, you study Japanese, English, and Chinese for 10 minutes. Then you also work out every day, and you've told me you've done it almost every single day for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
What do you think are people when people try to be consistent? Like, what's the mindset you have? Is it just because it's so meaningful? Is that how you drive yourself? How do you drive yourself to be that consistent? Because I remember there's a quote, some scientists like, consistency is the hardest human thing to achieve. It's one of the hardest things.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know why. I just did that. I just did it. Yeah, I just did it. Yeah. I just did it just once. One single thing a day, that just drove me some kind of adrenaline surges, Workout 10 minutes, adrenaline surges. That makes me happy. And I do that every day. Workout. And I take another attentions to kind of learning languages as well. Okay, let's do this again. Learning. And I just think about to take this more consistent in my life. I wanted to combine them all together. Yeah, so these days, every morning, I get up roughly around 4:30 or 5 a.m. And it is like a zombie moment of awakening slowly, and to make myself widely awaken, but not so accelerating. It has to be slow awakening process to be more happier. So I take myself into piano and play piano for like 10 or 20 minutes. And
I think
so, yeah,
something interesting is Winston Churchill. He's a very high performer. You're also a high performer. You have a
yeah,
lot of work to do. He would draw every day, or like during World War II when he was managing the entire British fleet, he would often
yeah.
draw. And
Oh,
there's this
yeah,
weird
yeah.
correlation that I found amongst some of the people at research, like the greats. They
Mhm.
all have some artistic thing to kind of channel. And I'm curious, because you've done a lot of things. What would you say are the highs and lows? Because you mentioned, you grew up from a pretty hard financial situation, and then you became managing director. What would you say are some like highs and lows that you've gone through, and what did you learn from them?
I don't know about my highs and lows because I think I don't exactly capture the context or the meanings of my personal highs and lows, kind of that. Yeah. My social status or career, yeah, had definitely highs and lows. And although the career moment was low, I was still happy.
Hmm.
And when the career moment was very high, I still was in the modest and prudent and decent state of mind. The reason why I keep doing that is maybe because just rolling all the way back to originality, kind of routine. Even these days, I am taking another new role and position at Global Startup Center as a head of operation, and yeah, and I'm doing managing director thing at TipsTown as well, and yeah, this is kind of career highs, but that never makes me happier. If
Hmm.
I miss my morning routine and things, yeah, get up early and taking some meditational kind of like a playing piano session by myself, and I immediately transforms myself to like Japanese learning mode, and then I walk all the way down to fitness club and do workout for 10 minutes and abs or cardios. I do that, and then like roughly 20 minutes of the workouts in total, and then I go to golf club and play golf, and I after playing golf, and I just pack my luggages and going back all the way back to home and learn Chinese, and then
And
I
this is at 5 a.m. or something.
yeah, sure.
Wow.
Back at home I just take cold shower, yeah, and then cold shower and just take some another round of the like meditation and read books and wait for my children to wake up because I have to see their eyes and say them that I am very proud of them and I'm very happy because they are there with me, and I just want to extend my warm gratitude and heart and lovely kisses to my children in the morning when they wake up. I just wait for them to wake up and read books, and then they wake up and I do kiss, and I just come home here, I come work here,
Yeah.
and that is my morning routine. If I break that, the career positions or financial gains at the stock market or blockchain,
Yeah.
yeah, that does matter. Yeah, that
Hmm.
never make me happy.
So you find
Yeah.
comfort in the constant
Yeah.
consistency.
Sure.
And on your because tips, I'm curious because you listen to a lot of pitches, I'm assuming, and you talk with people. Do
Yeah.
you have routines in your daily work outside of the morning routine? And
Hmm.
what are things you think you implement? Because you've had successful IPOs. What are things you think you implement as a director, like on your routine side, or some things like that makes you successful at incubation or whatever you'd call it?
Hmm.
Like things you do that you think makes
Hmm.
your TipsTown successful.
And I think what matters most is also maybe it could be a routine, but yeah, I don't want to put it in routine word, but it is kind of also tenacity and consistency as well. Yeah, you know what? The startup founders, they fail. They experience their own highs and lows, and they succeed. I don't know what the succeed is all about. Building like $1 billion company, $100 billion company. Is that a success? I don't know. Are the founders of that companies happy or not? I couldn't see, not all of them are happy and not all of them are sad. The happiness or sadness or those like miseries or whatever, those kind of personal contexts are not depending on that capitalistic terminologies. Their personal success or personal happiness is that those kind of things are just on their original status. What the hell kind of person is he or is she now? Is he or she experiencing some family affairs of now, which is so bad or so, or something good or is happening around him with close friends? I told you just right before we were starting recording this podcast, you were asking me what is the definition of the happiness? What's that?
Oh, meaning of life.
Meaning of life. Yeah, I told you. Yeah, 3F. Yeah, mental fitness, physical fitness, and relationship fitness. Those are some constitutional pillars of, I believe, for making a happy person.
And would you say the successful founders? Because I mean, this is something. So
most of them do have that.
Do have that, you think?
Do have that? Okay. Yeah, do have that.
It seems like a common story, at least the things I listen to, where if you want to be exceptionally successful, likely there's some like you're likely not balanced. And you mentioned in one of your Twitter posts, it's seeking work-life balance to reduce stress is foolish. Stress mostly stems from our ignorance of how to navigate work and relationships. To learn these skills, we must study and experience more, confronting problems head on. Ironically, the best way to eliminate stress is to focus on more work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just focusing. Keep focusing on status of own real happiness. And maybe that could be like a person's routine, person's consistency, and work life. What's the difference between there? I don't know. So many of the MZ generations or some young people, they just want to tell the difference between work and life. What is the work and life? What is work and life? When someone who is got hired by some like owner, or bosses, and they should do 9 to 6 works, or they have no works during the weekend thing. Maybe I don't know, when they're fully immersed when they are not fully immersed on their job and their mission. I don't know what could make them kind of happy status.
What would you say is your own mission, and how do you find your own mission?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I was 10 years old, my mission was making happiness for all over the world. It is like, you know what? There is like a founding story of the South Korean peninsula. Dangun story. And that Dangun, he's like a god of like a founding father of the Korean peninsula. He's a spirit, and his mission was to 홍익인간. 홍익인간. 널리 세상을 이롭게 하라. Make happiness to the world. Like it is like a nirvana to everyone. Buddhism to everyone. I'm not a believer to Buddhism, but no matter what it is, it could be Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or whatever. But what matters for them, I think, is to make some people happiness by spreading their mission of religious missions, but scientific missions as well. I don't know, but the mission is very important for keeping one person's healthy status.
And then do you think that mission that you had 10 years old is still carrying on? That's your main mission for everything you do? To spread that messages that is coming all the way from the bottom of my heart. To make people happier. To make, kind of those. And to do that, when we are truly focused on that mission, maybe it could be save the world, save the whole planet. When we do that, what's the difference between work and life? We have a mission, but whenever we leave us, if I having a deep attention to that mission, that my life should be aligned with that.
when I have that deeply rooted mission in my life, whenever I work, it also has to be deeply aligned with that. So it is a mission thing, and there could be like a work and life thing. Yeah, I think all have to be aligned all together. So maybe that is why I wrote that tweet. So
I guess
life thing, yeah. Maybe I was criticizing some of the people who are defining their lives as like just hey, enjoy fun and have some kind of like shit. Maybe I was doing that. Yeah.
Do you think that's a common thing in Korean society where people kind of demonize work and then life is separate because there's a lot of big clubbing and alcohol scene in South Korea? one of the highest drinking rates. Would you say that's a thing with Korean society, that work-life balance is important?
But from my personal perspective, South Koreans, normally most of us are not on our mission. Yeah, not on our mission.
Do you think
it is
that's
like individual success.
Do you think that's the main reason why Korea has, I guess, the highest suicide and one of the highest depression rates?
Sure. We are not connected together. Mission is sticky. Mission is like a glue which sticks all together people from here and there. So we can have like a mutual, like a community feeling when we have a shared mission together. But when it comes to South Korea, we have no mission at all these days. As far as I see, it is like individual success, individual careers, and individual welfare as well. You know why?
But yeah,
why?
Because of just distancing. Humans are not as close. Is that what you're like? There's not as much friendships. Community isn't a thing anymore.
So why we lost that?
Not sure.
Not sure. Yeah.
Maybe, perhaps. I mean,
me neither. Yeah, me neither.
I feel like 1980s or something, 1970s. At least to my understanding, Korea, it wasn't a financial boom because everyone had that mission of growing Korea together, right? Is that correct? Would you say?
Yeah, maybe we could say that. Yeah, financial success.
But for everyone
during the like 1980. No. Still during those periods, we were still polarizing. Really? There were huge wealth and income polarizations, and those gaps were just ever widening. And after that, even after that, the gaps are widening ever and ever. Okay. So from my personal perspective, my personal interpretation is it is because Japanese colonization. Yeah, during the Joseon dynasty, we were kind of community. There was a kingdom, and we were just taking those bows to those dynasty and kings and queens as well. And there were like a local owners, and they were just having community feeling. Joseon people, they love the drinking and dancing as well. And that's what I see. Maybe K-pop or K-drama, K-contents waves are coming all the way from there. Yeah. And during the Japanese colonization from 1910 to 1945, we were totally separated, individual. Why? Because some people were on the side of Japan and some wasn't. And the ones who are on the Japan, they were already consistently reporting their own community members to the Japanese police officers. And they were dragged into that like a jail or behind the bars. They were being tortured or some kind of those things really happened during the Japanese colonization. And during that period, Japanese were teaching us Japanese, not to speak Korean at the school. Even elementary school students were learning and writing Japanese, not Korean, not here. And we were always in a status of reporting, surveillance to other people, not believing them. When we believe in them and talk them everything about our family affairs and my pains, then we have no idea when it is going to come. He or she will be reporting that to the Japanese police officer, and we go to jail. And we were ever deceiving status, have you ever heard about Wianbu?
No.
Yeah, Japanese comforting women, military. That also had been not just by Japanese people did that. Yeah, Koreans did that. Koreans who were standing for Japanese officers or military forces, and they were just knocking on their neighbor's door. Hello, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, I've got a good news, information. You wanna take? Yeah. What is it? Yeah, there is like kind of this like very nice camp that invites young girls, and they just do the like restaurant works or kind of things. They will be paid very, very rich. And why don't you send your daughter there? Oh, yes, sure, for sure. Let's send yeah, that one. Hey, Hengsugi, why don't you go there? Okay, go. And then that one who was standing for Japanese officers, collecting kind of like 10 or 20 women from the village, and they were all taken to a Japanese like a comforting women place zone. And it was the Koreans.
So that's why that distrust of each other.
Distrust.
That's what it caused.
Distrust each other. And that even after that Japanese colonization, what happened in South Korea was, so we got independence in 1945. The misery of South Korea's history is maybe when we see the like a facial value of the 1945's like independence, it is good. But in reality is that victory, that independence has not been gained by Koreans. It has been gained by United States. United States took a bomb to Hiroshima and Japanese surrendered, and then we got the independence. So you know what happened afterwards?
Poverty?
No.
What happened?
Poverty was just there, sitting there. For more efficient operation and management of this Korean peninsula, United States, the officers again took those people who are working for Japanese officers from the South Korean to take charge of do some important works at administrative works and whatever, because they knew about how to run the infrastructure, and they knew how to run the place and how to gain the taxes, collect taxes as well. They knew those things. So for more efficient way of managing this country, US officers were giving another round of opportunity to Korean people who are standing for Japanese officers. So after the independence, those Koreans who were standing for Japanese, oh, my life ended. But US officers came in, hey, please come on again. Oh, really? And they started working again. Just owner has changed from Japanese to States. So from 45 to 50, people who had been tortured and people who had been teased or deprived just kept being deprived, kept being tortured. You know what? That was Cold War era period. So people who wanted real independence from South Korea, we were like voting and standing against those like officers. Those individuals were normally falling into the trap of communism. So those communist party, like Soviet or North Korea and China thing, and United States democratic. So those Korean people who were standing for Japanese officers, almost all of a sudden, without any conscience, they just changed themselves as like, we are democratic thing. We stand for democracy. So we are killing everything about communism. And they started doing again, torturing and giving some bullshits to their own community members. Regardless of their family and friends, they were doing that again. Just the owner changed. So that communist parties, people for individuals And those people still couldn't believe each other. One day we drink each other and have a chit chat, yeah, take some breeze. Yeah. And another day they reproach you, hey, that is communist. That guy is communist.
That was so my father grew up in Kyrgyzstan during the Soviet times.
Oh,
And my father and my grandfather as well, he tells me. So when USSR controlled us, that would be a common thing, betrayal. And there would be this one officer, and he would just come up and just there would be a kill count of how many people to kill because they would be called spies, and that would happen all across. So
the world.
yeah, all across Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, and interesting. Like, what would you say? I mean, because what would you say is like because Korea is in this situation where it's economically so much more powerful, but there's this large problems. You said mission is one of the ways. How do you think it will be fixed? I mean, one other thing you mentioned in your Twitter post is education is super important. We should focus on education because the founders, they need to be educated properly, or just the entire people. But how do you think Korea should fix the problems it has?
So that is almost like the question, how to make a people, a person like you. Yeah. Education is the most powerful weapon to change the world. Nelson Mandela quoted it. So we have a long way to go there. Yeah. Education. We need to rebuild the education system. So to make my stories to end, yeah, about that communism democratic, those forces have fought together against. And so in 1950, there was Korean War. And after Korean War, those people who were on the Japanese party, Japanese officers, and who were torturing their community members, regained their power because Democratic Party from the United States forces, they won the victory. So now the people who were on Japanese side, back from 1910 to 1945, even became wealthier, rich. And they just could get the opportunity because they had information. Where's the land, good land, properties, and where's the good opportunity to make like supply chains, getting all to combine all together and make some beers or soju or so, yeah, that just now famous in South Korea, but I would love to make it just extending.
Yeah.
D Corp.
Yeah.
There is a company called D Corp, and they were one of the like Japanese people from the Japanese gained their powers from the Japan, and they wanted to start their beer and alcohol manufacturing business. And where did the land they got? It was reallocated by Japanese and US officers with the briberies, and they were reallocating those and re-giving that to the people they were friendly with and they had relationships with like those kind of transactions under the table. So they could start the business of selling and manufacturing those alcohol, spirits, soju, and beer, and that started their businesses and booming up. And now they are one of those conglomerates in South Korea. And what about S Corp? They were doing like illegal importing, exporting, kind of those things, and they built their businesses during the Japanese colonization. And they had some kind of relationship with that. And nobody talks about that. Why? Because it is very dangerous. It is very dangerous. Just make a reasonable guesstimations. They had built their businesses from those era, and now they are having those capital networks. Now they can see the opportunities where to build their factories, how to manufacture them, because they have huge amount of the networks to make the realization of the business. So they just kept going on. Capital gains. And
then then they would be much more advantageous than the other companies which were founded by Korean people who weren't part of, because there was just a war, so most of them would have been destroyed.
Yeah. So the thing is, South Koreans didn't start from the scratch. People living in the world think like, wow, that country, 1950, maybe one of the second poorest country in the world. Devastating. But now they are gaining that power out of nothing. Yeah, out of nothing. That's true. That is true. But one thing is, already there was like a polarization between the powered and already fully networked people and the have-nots. The haves and the have-nots. Back in 1950, we had that. So the haves could build their businesses more efficiently, expand their businesses more efficiently, and you know what? After Korean War, the people who had power in South Korea was normally from the military field, including Mr. Park, who passed away by assassination. Before them, the ones who had power were under military services. You know what? The Mr. Park, who had been assassinated by someone, yeah, he was Japanese officer.
Really? Wow.
He was Japanese officer. You didn't know that?
No, I don't know. Wow.
A former president of South Korea who was almost like dictating the country.
I knew there were dictators.
Yeah. He was Japanese officer, officially.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow.
Officially.
Oh. I guess I skipped that over when I went to Korean school.
He had that kind of distinct biting his finger, and he was bloody, and he wrote his name not in Mr. Park J.H., but he wrote Takaki Masayo.
Oh, really? Wow.
My name is Takaki Masayo, and I'm going full of my life to the rehabilitation of the Japan. He did that. And you know what? It is not just his single story. In South Korea, back in 1950s and 60s and 70s, most of the people who had huge round of the networks, information, Gangnam district to be developed. Let's give some shit about purchase some kind of those lands. The information had been flowed over that society, who had power back in 1910, 1920, 1930, 1940, and their lineages, their descendants had that information. So when it comes to Gangnam here, we have in Seoul, we have Han River, and there is northern side of Han River and southern side of Han River. But when it comes to Gangnam district, we have this Tehran Street here. And there is another part, round of polarization between the Tehran Street. Northern side of Tehran Street is we have Apgujeong, Cheongdam. And southern side of Tehran Street, we have Dogok, or kind of those places. Now we are located in southern side of Tehran Street. And the income gap and family, the wealth gap between those two groups is huge. Why? At Gangnam or Cheongdam, there still lives a huge number of people who have benefited from Japanese imperialism by torturing and taking advantages of that situation. And those grandpa, grandma, and they are giving wealthies to their descendants. And 3 and 4 generations just leading to it is really happening in South Korea. Have you ever watched a movie called Pamyo?
No.
When you see the Pamyo, and that movie is describing a one family, their descendants have no job, have nothing, but they have endless round of cash to live their lives to the fullest. And people just see the picture, and they're one of their ancestors who are standing for Japanese officers, and that man has just given even after passing away, that money is just going on, just ongoing. You know what? That is why eventually in the end, people in South Korea mostly distrust about the capitalism, and they just have kind of those hatreds to the wealthy people, and they have no idea. And they're just suspicious. Oh, that guy is so wealthy. Maybe his grandpa was wealthy. Maybe his grandma and grandpa's pa was Japanese friends.
That's something in my country, in Kyrgyzstan, especially Kazakhstan. There's a lot of oil people, and my friend studied in some good school, and I met some of them. I talked to a lot of people, and basically every single wealthy person I've met, their grandfather was an oil magnate, every single one, or they did construction, and that was since the Soviet days. Like it's just crazy how much so people don't believe in capitalism in South Korea.
They do. So
In terms of you can do it in South Korea, they don't believe it, that they can achieve that.
yeah, they don't believe the successful stories of the wealthy people. Yeah, but what they want to do is now, because since we have no such kind of like a consciously well built culture of capitalism, we don't have that. So we are turning ourselves into rather individual success. Okay, that guy's success, I don't know. I don't care. I don't trust. But my success, that is the thing that I have to pursue. That is what's happening in South Korea, ever and ever. So the family, the parents are on their way of taking care of their children. Hey, competition, competition, competition. And that competition and the winning is the guaranteed way to success in South Korea. Because going to northern side of Tehran Street, that is impossible. That is only with the qualifications of the, like 100 years back of the history. And just settling down on the southern side of the Tehran Street, that can be possible. That can be, yeah. By becoming a lawyer in Gimenjang, and by becoming a doctor at Asan Hospital, and that becoming lawyer and becoming doctor, that can just be realized by.
But entrepreneurship is not the main thing.
Not a main thing. Not a main thing. Yeah, that can be realized by studying hard, winning on the competition, winning.
Yeah.
When you cannot win, yeah, no lawyer thing, no doctor thing, yeah, you cannot live in Gangnam, you will just live here. Seoul metropolis, there's no way you can step here.
The funny thing is, I went to Korean middle school, and it doesn't just start from college, like that competitiveness, it starts from middle school. Like the high school you get into is important for your life. Like I saw a kid crying. He was number one in their class, but he cried. Like he just cried so much because he like got like one question wrong or like 5 questions wrong because he knew he was not the best. But he was still getting to good high school. But it's just crazy how much competitiveness is in the core.
Yeah.
So like
we are lacking the mission, individualism.
And is that kind of what you're trying to do with TipsTown as well? What you're helping people build that entrepreneurship, that root.
Yeah.
And what would you say? Because I mean, Korea has a lot of cultural practices, a lot of things. What would you say? Or do successful founders kind of follow the culture of South Korea, or do they go against it and kind of follow the Silicon Valley mindset of building startups in South Korea that you found successful?
So when it comes to South Korea, even the founders, they are very courageous and brave. But even the founders are having kind of embedding kind of like a pseudo Confucianism. You know Confucianism?
Yeah.
But South Korean, we are not Confucianism. We are just like having kind of pseudo Confucianism in our heart.
What do you mean by that?
We pretend as if we were polite, and we pretend as if we were doing like kind of like doing polite things to our seniors, but we don't do that. It is pseudo. We pretend to do that, but yeah, in reality, yeah, we are just pursuing individual successes and materialism, and we are just looking sideways and glances. Yeah, that neighbor was so lucky, kind of he earned that. Wow, how the hell is he living in that like that expensive house? My wish, and they are always, instead of comparing themselves to others, even to the close friends, to the neighbors, they are doing that, not finding happiness in their heart. not finding happiness in their status quo and in their family. So they're just ever doing that. So even the startup founders in South Korea, they are at their status of pseudo Confucianism.
Do you think that makes them successful or not successful to succeed in Korea?
Not so much. Not so much.
So the ones you found
the startup founders,
the ones you found successful, they kind of go against that pseudo Confucianism.
Mm-hmm.
You found, would you say?
Yeah, so one of the most common shared trait that I see from those successful founders, they understand the situation well enough, and they try to take advantage and leverage the situation. And pseudo Confucianism, okay, I just take a role with conscience. If needed, they do that, and if not needed, they are just like daredevils, courageous. There is a Chutzpah culture in Israel. Chutzpah. Even the seniors or even someone who is very respectful say something in South Korea, we say, oh, yes, yes, yes. But Chutzpah never do that. Israeli, as far as I know, they do. Hey, bullshit. That is bullshit. And they just discuss very intensively. Yeah, that's what they do. And the founders who broke certain limit of the line, they have that kind of attitude toward their lives, not only their lives, but also whenever they are dealing with the businesses as well. Yeah, they do.
Okay, wow. I guess just moving on. I guess this is interesting because you said that at the student startup conference, I told them to send me an email with a startup idea and added that most of them will be ignored, but guaranteed that if you became tenacious and eventually feel like it is inevitable, we'll meet. I regret that I had ignored. Please make me regret. So this is interesting because, in fact, in our generation, at least from the students I've been around, they think they deserve things without the work. They think you should respond right away. Doing this podcasting, I reach out to a lot of people. I usually get ignored, which is the common thing, but then you keep reaching out and then it happens. Could you just go more on the thing you said about reaching out to someone and that most of them will be ignored? What do you mean by that? We'll meet. I regret that I ignored. Please make me regret. Does it mean most people didn't reach out to you?
And I get more than 100 emails that I have to reply promptly every day to see the suggestions of the business proposals, and I'm starting up this company. I have this idea. Those kind of things are just pouring into my email account. So I have no time to reply them one by one. So, but you know what? Please make me regret. What it means is that as a VC venture capitalist, some kind of those a super 100x home run ideas and home run successes are coming from the serendipitous moments. And out of those a probabilistically almost impossible way, but that was one certain kind of those cases will be coming out from those wave and ocean of email incomings. So you know what? Failing is very norm when it comes to venture capitalists, because I could invest to a certain startup and that fail, okay, and invest once again, another round of the startup and fail, okay, I really do that. But when someone who is working for a conglomerates and even small and medium business companies, and when they're taking in charge of investment operations, it is really hard for them to do that because they need to be permitted by their owners or chairmen. Hey, I invested in this company, and they are convincing their lines of their hierarchy, and they fail. Oh, it's a shame. Maybe he's got to take that thing. His life will be so risky. But for a personal and individual investor, for me, I do invest and forget it. Do invest and forget. Do invest and forget it. So among the 20 startups that I invest, just one single home run success will make a huge round of coverages of the losses, and as well as it could just make up more than 10 times or 20 times of the successful financial gains in return.
Yeah.
Just one single case could do that. So please make me regret means I hope any one of you would make a success. Just keep trying.
So that you would be regretful that you didn't invest in them.
Yeah, I would. These days, I am just formulating some systematic approach to respond to each and every single of those emails. Yeah. So you know what? When we do fish in the ocean, we can cast our nets to anywhere. Yeah, it's upon our choice. We can do that. But someone who is very getting used to and have experiences of fishing can see the flow of the water and color of the water and wind of the water and everything. That gives them, that professional fisherman, an intuition where to cast the net. Very selective way of casting the nets. And then, there could be probably a better chance of getting more huge and healthier fishes. Yeah. So when it comes to venture capitalist market and our playing field, we also have to be armed with that intuition as well. So for my position, and this is discrepancy, because for my position as a running tips program or running global startup center, I have to be just open to everyone because it is government position. For me personally, I'm opening up this opportunity to everyone who is paying taxes in South Korea, not only paying taxes in Korea. Global Startup Center, we are open to every foreigners who are not even paying taxes in Korea. But I have to be, because this is my job, role, and responsibility to do that. But the thing I individually should focus on for my financial successes, or those to find a real good deal that I would regret if I don't respond, I have to cast my nets more consciously.
Yeah.
More consciously.
And then what's been I guess, because you say you read a lot of books to help you think about, what are some books that you've read to kind of help you in your decision making when investing? Would you say?
When investing?
Or just financially? Because you said you read a lot of books.
Just financially. Just when it comes to... These days, I am reading the VC mindset. Yeah, that VC mindset is giving me another round of reassuring things. Okay, up until now, I've been doing right thing. And from now on, I also will be consistent, be tenacious, like this, as I have done. So that VC mindset is giving me kind of those lessons and intuitions, that I'm at the right way now. Financial things.
All right, okay, I guess a better question, just life in general. What are some books that you gift most often to other people? Just general books.
I often recommend, if only I knew then what I know now.
Okay.
Yeah. It is written by Liu Xihua. Yeah, Liu Xihua. If only I knew, then there is another book that I have recommended to people whoever I made an acquaintances or my close friends and family as well. I recommend this book, Non-Possessions, written by 법정. Yeah, 법정 스님.
So Korean authors, both for Korean authors.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And Non-Possession is one of the most impressive books that I have ever read in my life. Okay. Non-Possession.
I guess just another quick question is, what purchase of $100 or less has most impacted your life?
Yeah.
Because I don't have a large budget, and I'm just trying to look for things I should buy with the limited money I have.
Yeah. So I wanted to answer that question. Yeah. From your previous questionnaire. I couldn't come up any kind of those things in my but I prepared for an answer. I spent $5 every week to purchase lottery tickets. I purchased $5. I spent $5 to purchase a lottery ticket every week. which means I can buy 20 tickets to make like $100 of the purchase. So that meaning that, yeah, I can purchase lottery tickets for 20 weeks in a row. And that is roughly around 30% of the year of buying lottery tickets, because a year is 52 weeks. Yeah, 20 weeks is 38%. You know why I purchase lottery tickets every day, every week?
I don't know. You're a gambler? You're addicted?
Whenever I purchase lottery ticket, just by spending $5. And I recommend that thing too to so many people around me.
Yeah.
To purchase lottery tickets.
Why?
You know why? It's just funny. You know what? Yeah. Just having this type of conversation, it is essentially, it is funny. So it's fun talk. Hey, go and purchase lottery ticket. Only $5 per week. And when you purchase $5, so it is 5 accounts, literally 5 tickets. So when you have that, if it were you, what would you imagine?
What would you imagine with the tickets?
Yeah, if you have that, 5 tickets now, lottery tickets, every week, we select the winner. And if you have that, what do you do? What do you imagine? What do you have in mind? Oh, if I win, maybe, though there is a very thin, even not thin, like there is a vague and zero-like chances that I could win the ticket, win the lottery. But what if I win? What if I win? That thing, that is energy, vibrant energy of a human's mind. So just by spending $5, a week of happiness comes. Imagining one's success. I know, I understand, because I'm a very smart person, that I cannot win the lottery. But what if I win? What if I win? With like a $2 or $3, $4 million? What do I do? What do I do? Just imagining happy things.
And that translates to your energy during your normal workday?
That is not important.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, not important, but not important. But that thing is not bad. Not bad. You know what? Someone who is so desperate, and someone who is like a psychologically desperate situations, mentally ill, and who has energy level less than 0, minus level of like, I am nothing. You know what? Those people never purchase lottery tickets because they don't imagine kind of those successful stories in their lives. Someone who have energy at least higher than 0. It could be 0.1, 0.01. It could be. At least at the positive status, they imagine the successful things in their lives. So it helps people to be in a status of thinking some positive things. And you know what? Purchasing lottery tickets every week, that makes us another kind of good thing. Yeah, that teaches us.
What does it teach?
What is it? What is it?
I don't know. What does it?
So over the whole kind of this podcast interview, I insisted that consistency matters, very important for the successful people. And I consistently purchase lottery tickets. Maybe it could be aligned with a successful way. Why? Right? But one can realize and one can admit that even though I consistently purchase lottery ticket every week, one will realize eventually I cannot succeed. Because one is most probably will fail to win the ticket. So it is very realistic thing to teach the capitalism, how the capitalism works. Even though we be consistent, even though I imagine kind of like dream things, purchasing houses in Seoul. Even though I do that consistently every week, we fail. Probabilistically, we fail. So we have to learn that. We can learn that. Failing is inevitable. And failing is just subject to happen when we do like this. You know, there's a difference between starting up a startup and purchasing lottery tickets. There is a huge difference between them. You know what it is?
Work.
When we learn mathematics, there is a term called memoryless property. You know, discrete mathematics, when we do some calculations here, and when it comes to mathematics, when we do another round of the calculations, it has to be connected or linked somehow. In a memoryless property, we do this calculation and another calculation, they are disconnected. So the previous success or previous fail cannot influence the next round of the success or failure. It is just discrete. So we call them memoryless properties. So purchasing lottery tickets is memoryless property. And I lose this round of the lottery. Next week, lose again. No connections. No connections. But when it comes to startup founders, they make their own products or services, release that and shipping it to the market. And that fail. And that startup founder learn and grow. When they be consistent, sticking to their plan, sticking to their mission, to shipping their products or services to the market, the next round, they will be even better, probably even better. So it accumulates, these experiences or careers, it accumulates over and over when it comes to startup. So it is higher probably possible way to go to success rather than by purchasing lottery tickets. Lottery ticket purchasing is memoryless property, and starting up is memory property.
Interesting. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But to listeners at home, you're not actually recommending they actually buy it, or is it just a concept and idea you're sharing? Would you say you actually want them to buy lottery tickets?
I just tell the story, and yeah, the real action is just responsibly. It has to be decided by individual consciousness. But I do purchase $5 per week. Really.
Wow.
Because I just have to keep this in mind. I just train myself to keep this in mind.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Imagining dream, that is important. Yeah. Just earning like $2, $3, $4 million per week. And then by winning this lottery, what should I do? It gives me a little bit of adrenaline. Yeah, happiness viruses. Yeah, that is real. Real feeling. Yeah.
But and then, one thing, it's 3:27. So we went over on my apologies.
Okay.
Do you have? I can just ask the last question. Do you have some time?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. I guess. I mean, could I ask 2 questions if possible, or do you think time is limited? 2 questions, okay? Okay. So, I mean, you already mentioned the consistency, like, because a lot of people who are listening are founders or people who want to achieve things. Based on like what you're seeing outside of consistency, what are other character traits that you see, like a list of things you find really common for successful startups based on your own helping so many startups succeed? What are the common traits? For example, Harry Stebbings at 20VC, something he finds interesting is that all the founders, they started entrepreneurship at a very early age. Or another thing you mentioned in your Twitter post is actually a lot of successful founders are immigrants in a new foreign country. Yes. It makes them adapt. What are other things, list of things that you think are important character traits of founders?
As far as I see,
yeah,
and they're kind of those originals. Original. In my email signature at Gmail, I'm writing my credos or mantras to myself. Play deep, do audaciously, and be yourself. Among these 3 sentences, one of the most important things that I see to myself and I see from the founders of the successful achievements, it is be yourself. Be yourself. Originality matters. Really important. Yeah. You know what? When a person starts something up, that is kind of a baby, but not genetically. It is chemically or mimically linked from somewhere. It is a universal thing. We are linked together. I make a product or services with my own efforts, consciousness, and perspirations and aspirations as well. That has a soul. That soul, when we are making kind of those like commodities, mass productions, yeah. Even though doing that, we originally we must have had some kind of one single prototype, minimum viable products or whatever. So yeah, at the very first stage of doing that, one has to implement some kind of consciousness to their product service.
And by consciousness, you mean like, so it is your own thought. It is something that isn't just copy pasted for someone. Is that what you mean by that?
Sure. Yeah, originality.
Okay.
And that, so as a early stage VC, whenever I see the founders, is this guy original or not? Is this guy just copying and pasting or duplicating some successful ideas and trying to implement it to their local regions or kind of, is this guy original or not? Yeah. Be yourself. So as long as that founder is original, it is very likely that founder is going to produce some original services or ideas. Even though the face things, facial value or facial expressions of the website, product or service could demonstrate some almost same ideas with existing products or services. As long as us original founder creates that is a little bit different. Just a little bit different. Yeah.
Is it because of as you mentioned, the care that you give because it's your own startup, would you say? Because you care more because it's your own creation. It's not you're just copying some other baby and Is that what you think drives them, the care that they have?
Care.
Yeah, because it's their original thing. Do you think that care is why it allows it to be successful?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. One is definitely subject to be reflected on their own products or services.
Okay.
So, for example, you have your voice. Now your voice and your content is your product or service, right?
Yeah.
As a podcast producer. And do you think your voice can be copied by AI or someone else?
I think the literal voice could be copied, but I guess hopefully I don't get. I'm hoping that does not happen because otherwise this
the total manifestation, the total expression of this kind of this feeling, your facial expressions or gestures and your smiles and your eyes blinking, and whatever, your attitude, your kind of like preparedness and readiness, that cannot be, that is never be copied. I think it is original because voice is one of those original things that one can produce. So we can be blossomed with so the industry of the like personal creators can blossom because our voices or our attitude on the movies, that cannot be copied. One can deal with the same tone and manner of the contents and style of the contents, the industry of the contents, but one who produces it, cannot be never duplicated, I believe. So not only voice, but also the products or services also are kind of those voices of the founders and creators as well. So that is why being oneself and being in a status of understanding him or her fully to herself or himself, I can see that is the difference between huge successful founders and 꼼꼼꼼사 status of the founders.
I was actually recently writing a blog post about this in exact copy because I mean, just growing up, I mean, there's a lot of idols, startup founders I aspire to be, and I tried to do exactly what they did. Like when I was like 12 or something, I tried to follow Elon Musk. I was trying to match like what did he do at my exact age, and I was trying to follow everything he did, and I found that some of the things he was obsessed with I did not do. I wasn't able to sleep till midnight, just like reading a coding textbook for 2 days, not sleeping. I was not that type of person. Or while I'm doing podcasting, I've been trying to follow other people's voices. I'll do this, do this. And the interesting thing is when you keep listening to these people, a lot of them have different ideas. A lot of them have different advices. So it's hard to choose because these both people are successful, but it's like they are both telling you to do opposite things, right? One is telling you, for example, in startup world, one is saying you to get this much VC capital and go all in. Another one is saying try to minimize VC capital and go this way. It's like, so which way am I going, right?
So you once had asked me about like a hardworking, ambitious 19-year-old. What advice I would
That was
give.
my last question.
Yeah. So that's the kind of question, okay. So my recommendation is to follow up and those fully different ideas, benchmark them. Yeah. One day you can benchmark Elon Musk. Yeah. What he eats, what he reads. And one day you can benchmark like Steve Jobs or whoever, some sports Olympic athletes, or just find and go whole different ways, path that they have taken. And whenever you benchmark individual course of the successful stories, and I hope you to fully committed and being focused on there. Yeah, I hope you to do that. Because I believe you are not going to follow someone of the low level players. I believe you are following someone who are already in your liking status, right? Yeah, list of the likings. So you're doing that. You are already determined with your own way of going. This is a huge flow of your river. So you have determined, okay, I'm going to follow the list of these things, these people. But this one and this guy have very disparate opinions, disparate advices. That's okay. You follow them, and criticize yourself and follow them, learn and fall out and fall down and lesson learns and going upward once again, over and over. Because when it comes to me, I also did that when I was your age. I was very, envy about some people. The thing that I did, it was just to follow them. Yeah. And eventually, in the end, what you realize is, okay, no matter how hard I try to be like Elon Musk, I cannot be an Elon Musk. I am me. And then I follow like Steve Jobs or whoever. Okay. After like a year or half year or so, that the period maybe doesn't matter. Yeah, I can decide fast if I want to keep following him or not. Yeah, I just listen to his lessons and so, and okay, Steve Jobs. Okay, goodbye. Thank you. You've been my mentor. I learned a lot. And those have different opinions here. Those two mentors. And third mentor, I follow them. Follow one again. And then lesson learned and criticizing myself on behalf of the lessons from Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. And I do once again here. Okay, finally you will realize once again. Oh, so with the capabilities that I have learned on the journey of learning Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, and I chose this one, and still I realized in the end that I cannot be this guy. You know what? When you do these things over and over, you will be you. You will become yourself.
As you try to mimic other people.
Sure. So you just have your preferences. You have your own meal preference. Mentor preference. You have. So you just follow them. Yeah. You know what? I have been very famous public speaker before working for here. Yeah. So I was not trained one. But people have been so much curious about my lifelong journey of, what did you do when you were 10, 20, 21? Yeah, they were asking me those kind of the questions were just pouring in all of a sudden. So I was not prepared for delivering public speaking presentations things. So I decided to benchmark some of the people. who were MC anchor of the JTBC. His name was Son Suk-ki.
JTBC is
JTBC.
people who are listening, it's like one of the biggest like TV networks in
So
South
there
Korea.
was a famous anchor in JTBC. His name was Son Suk-ki, and I watched almost every one of those YouTube videos. And of him and his presentation and speeches as well. And I wrote them down and put on all-nighter and just repeated just to benchmark his speech tone and manner and gestures as well. And after roughly around 3 or 4 months, I came to the conclusion that, I seriously wanted to be like Son Suk-ki, but I can't. I have different voice. Though I wanted to mimic his gestures and eye contacts, everything, I am not him. But at the moment I realize it, I already have like very embedded lesson of the Son Suk-ki. It is in me. And with that Son Suk-ki in me, simultaneously I'm Doer. I'm just mimicking another public speaker. His name was Kim Chang-ok. Kim Chang-ok. And I just scrutinize every one single video of his Kim Chang-ok speech. And another 2 or 3 months, I just mastered his all speeches. Public speaking. And so I am Doer and Son Suk-ki, and I am Kim Chang-ok. And I thought to myself, maybe this is not enough. I got to benchmark another gender. There was a female, very famous speaker named Park Mi-kyung. And I searched her YouTube, and I just changed everything down there to the bottom, and I started from the scratch to benchmark Park Mi-kyung. And wow, a style of female speeches like this, wow, this has never learned from Kim Chang-ok or Son Suk-ki. So I Park Mi-kyung's speech style, and I did that to my students or as a public speaker. I did that, But whenever I was mimicking Park Mi-kyung, and some kind of like a habitual things or innate capabilities from here of the like a Son Suk-ki, or it has been summoned to my own product. The product was serving a voice.
I think I've had limited life experience, but it's like when I for example, like I looked up to the OpenAI, one of the engineers, and I was reading about how he develops and how he codes. So I learned coding, right? And that skill of how he understands things and how he analyzes things, it's moved over. And I've been listening to Mr. Beast, Harry Stebbings, all these podcasters, and like I've kind of created my own mind map of what to do. I think something interesting is when you like kind of follow these people, right? Like you said, you kind of find your own voice because of following them. You just figure more about yourself because you find out what you're not the same with. Like you found what you're not. You're not Mr. Beast in this way. So you figure more about yourself, and then it like furthers your journey. So I think that's a very good point.
Do whatever you want to do. Because you are already with your own meal preference of your life.
And I wonder, because it's like, as babies, how we learn is by mimicking other people.
Sure.
That's how we learn. That's how we learn our language. That's how you get your accents,
It is maybe one of the fastest way to master something.
And that's why, if you read Robert Greene wrote a book, it's like a history book. It was about how to master skill set. And it talks about how back in like Europe, like back in the Renaissance era, like how you would learn is you would work under someone and you would try to mimic them. And after doing that for years, you would build your skill set to go out and do your own things.
That's right.
And that's what's been like a part of why I even do this, is because as I do this, I build relationships, and you almost become a mentor. Like I learn about how you do things, and I compare it with other people. Within the exact context. Like your context is you're really well versed in Korean venture capitalist ecosystem and public speaking. Another guest, he's good at like design and team building. So you just merge those together. And I found that a lot of the greatest founders and a lot of the greatest historical figures that I've been researching, the common thing is they have a lot of places where they get information from. Elon, he used to read thousands of books, if I remember correctly. He does that for a lot of times. And Napoleon Bonaparte, I recall he read a lot growing up.
Yeah,
he looked up to Alexander the Great, actually.
Yeah.
And it's a fascinating thing you mentioned. I don't think any guest of ours has said specifically that. Because I asked all of my guests what's their advice, for like someone young, and yours is the first one of its kind. So interesting.
Yeah, thank you so
And
much.
if you could if you had a billboard and you could say anything on the billboard, what would you say?
Me?
Yes.
To the billboard?
Like a billboard is on this like a highway and there's like this large billboard.
Yeah.
Like, what would you write on it?
Be yourself.
Yourself. Well, Doer, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the podcast.
Thank you so much.